Hello, my name is Robert Shearer and I am the training consultant for California Electrical Training, and I am often known as Bob. What we're going to be looking at are bear traps and pitfalls of acceptance testing for lighting designers, engineers, commissioning agents, architects, you name it. If you are operating under the 2013 Building Energy Efficiency Standards and your project requires acceptance testing, in other words, it's non-residential, then this is for you. So we're just going to start here with a little introduction and see where it goes from here. We will be looking at acceptance testing practices that you are probably unaware of. We'll be looking at the necessity to have install forms filled out. We'll be looking at certification of devices under Title 20 for Title 24 Part 6 approval. And we will be looking at some of the odd and bizarre design problems that you might encounter trying to read the Building Energy Efficiency Standards lighting controls design sections. Lighting control acceptance testing technicians have to come and test your work before you can get an occupancy permit. But do you know what they are testing? You may not be aware that some components of your system they are looking at are not even mandatory controls. There are also conflicting design criteria of which you may not be aware, some of which will be corrected in the 2016 code. We'll examine some of these. And let's not forget undefined terms, because those are always a problem in a code. This course is for informational purposes only and does not explicitly dictate any design methods or criteria. Therefore, the author, instructor, and any other organizations or entities involved with presenting this course of instruction shall not be held liable for any design decisions made on your part. We only wish to show you troublesome aspects of the code language. And frankly, after you see some of them, you may wish you hadn't. We're going to try and figure out why we're sitting here today. We will then discover where to find the information necessary for you to complete your design work. We're here because, as it turns out, lighting consumes over 1/3 of the electricity in the United States. California's Title 24 addresses both indoor and outdoor lighting controls. An acceptance test technician wants to fill out his acceptance testing forms and probably doesn't care about much else. Code says the field technician's employer has to be certified as well. The Building Energy Efficiency Standards and the Non-Residential Reference Appendices each have a 3-year code cycle. The new versions are currently due to go into effect January 1st, 2017. The compliance forms are subject to change without notice, so watch out. Important sections of the Building Energy Efficiency Standards, and remember, this course of instruction is covering the 2013 standards, although we will see some of the fixes that were done in the 2016. But for now, important sections of the Building Energy Efficiency Standards are 100.1 definitions, 110.9, the section of mystery, 130.0 is controls in general, 130.1 mandatory indoor controls that shall be installed, 130.2 are your mandatory outdoor controls, and these are mandatory under the law. And 130.4 is acceptance and install requirements. 130.5 is controlled receptacles, and 140.6 is power adjustment factors, and is a secondary sidelit control mandatory for automatic daylighting in a secondary sidelit zone on your project. In addition, we have 141.0 additions, alterations, and luminaire modifications in place. There are layers of indoor controls that might affect a luminaire. We have sections of the code describing them and when they are mandatory and how they shall be applied. Section 1 is area controls. These are manual controls separately controlling lighting functions in each area. That would be a non-residential function area. You can look that one up. 2, multi-level controls, providing occupants with the ability to use all of the light, some of the light, or none of the light in an area. This, by the way, this is coming from the compliance manual, which is the 4th of your 4 books that you require to design controls for Title 24 Part 6 compliance. Number 3, that's 130.1 Charlie, are shutoff controls, automatically shutting off or reducing light output of lighting when it is not needed. Number 4 is 130.1D, automatic daylighting controls, separately controlling some or all of the lights in the daylight area from the lights that are not in the daylight area. And number 5, 130.1 Echo, demand responsive controls, installing controls that are capable of receiving and automatically responding to a demand response signal. So those are all of your categories of required indoor lighting controls. If they are in fact required, there are exceptions. Outdoor lighting must be out within 99 minutes after sunrise to pass acceptance testing. That is changing for 2016, but remember, we're looking at the current code and the current acceptance testing criteria. And right now, sunrise is considered to be official sunrise at your geographical location plus no more than 99 minutes. In some cases, motion sensors or part-off controls are specified for outdoor lighting. Also, apparently, some mechanism must be present to allow turning off outdoor lighting for a portion of the night, whether you want to use that control or not. More on this later. We have the reference appendices next. The reference appendices, like the building energy efficiency standards, can be considered to be the code or the law. These are legal requirements, and your acceptance testing specifications are in here. The reference appendices should contain the, quote, specifications, unquote, for acceptance and installation testing. God damn it. The reference appendices contain NA 7.6 indoor acceptance, NA 7.7 system and power adjustment factor testing, and NA 7.8 outdoor acceptance. There are about 4 pages you will need out of Title 20 from Section 1605.3L2. Title 20 is basically the minimum functional requirements for something to be sold for use in the state of California. So to sell standalone lighting controls in a hardware store in the state of California, the systems must meet these specs for the components must meet these specs. Systems must meet these specs for the devices that they mimic. Just because something meets Title 20, it does not mean it will meet code specifications for a particular application. This is true. In many cases, your code is going to be more stringent than the Title 20 specifications. But currently, here we see the 2012 Appliance Efficiency Regulations, also known as Title 20. And we have a new one out already, the 2015, but I don't see any substantive differences in the lighting controls section. There are lighting controls regulated in Title 20. They are automatic time switches, astronomical, automatic daylight controls, photo controls, you can think of photo switches, dimmer controls, and occupant sensing devices. All lighting control systems must also meet these specifications at a minimum. The Non-Residential Compliance Manual is not the law. It is not code. It is merely meant to be helpful advice to you, and in some cases, not so helpful. All the drawings concerning daylighting are correct. Also, all the compliance forms, that is, certificates of compliance, certificates of installation, certificates of acceptance, these are all in Appendix A in the back of the manual, and that's what makes the Non-Residential Compliance Manual very important. Once upon a time, you looked for these here. Now we look for them here. They have redesigned the CEC's website, and it is much easier to use. We now can simply select the Efficiency tab on the home page, and that will get us all of our documents for download, including Title 20, and here's the new cover. And we can use their website to determine if standalone lighting controls have been, quote, certified to the Energy Commission. This means that at a minimum they're going to meet Title 20 requirements. So let's take a look at how we would take a standalone device and search for it. Section 110.9 of the Building Energy Efficiency Standards tells us to install a great many things. If you install them, they have to meet Title 20. So let's take a look and see if we can find whether this has been certified to the Commission. This is a vacancy sensor, and if it appears on the CEC's database, then you can assume that the manufacturer has certified it as meeting Title 20. So we start at the Efficiency tab, and then we click Appliance Efficiency Program link. And on that page, we are going to find the Appliance Efficiency database, and we are going to click Public Search, Quick Search. We are going to enter our model number, and a warning: the model number contains all kinds of things on the tail end of it that you don't care about. So you may have to abbreviate the model number, as we've done here, because the model number was quite long. It has a BWCC4 on the end that tells you whether it's white or ivory or whatever. You're probably going to have to shorten that to get this to work. So we put in our abbreviated model number and we click search. And the search engine comes back and says the closest thing it can find is an evaporative cooler. Well, that's not what we're interested in. Well, surprise, surprise. Here's our first surprise. They've changed the database search engine on the CEC website. You are now looking at two different databases. So to get to the other, by default, you're looking at the one called Approved. If it's an older device like this one, you have to look in the database known as Archived. So you select the Appliance Status tab, and there's a drop down to change you from Approved to Archived, and then you search again, and lo and behold, there is our lighting control. Okay? So that is The way it goes with the new database search tool, if you are looking up newer things, such as this component of a daylighting system, you can find it in the approved database. So this new database search tool replaces the old one. Now please join me here for more of the Pitfalls class, because we've just barely scratched the surface. We want to show you everything that is going to trip you up at least until the end of the year, if anybody's watching when you put in your design. So please come and join me again here, and thank you for your time and patience.